Jesus had been awake all night, hustled from one torchlit room to another, tied up, bruised, and battered. Matthew 27:11-31. Meanwhile, Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "You have said so," Jesus replied. But when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate asked him, "Don't you hear the testimony they are bringing against you?" But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. Now it was the governor's custom at the festival to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked them, "Which do you want me to release to you, Barabbas or Jesus who is called the Messiah?" For he knew it was out of self-interest that they had handed Jesus over to him. While Pilate was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent him this message: "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered. "What shall I do then with Jesus, who is called the Messiah?" Pilate asked. They all cried, "Crucify him!" "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him!" When Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but instead an uproar was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. "I am innocent of this man's blood. It is your responsibility." All the people answered, "His blood is on us and our children." Then he released Barabbas to them, but he had Jesus flogged and handed over to him to be crucified. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus and gathered the whole company of soldiers around him. They stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him and twisted together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They put a staff in his right hand, and they knelt in front of him and mocked him. "Hail, King of the Jews," they said. They spat on him and took the staff and struck him on the head again and again. After they mocked him, they took off the robe and put his own clothes on him, and then they led him away to crucify him. The high priest had looked for charges to get the death sentence passed, but all that had been heard was a confusion of lies. Jesus was then taken to the Roman governor because only he could give permission for a crucifixion. This was the place of judgment. Here, Jesus was condemned. Here, they made a pretend king out of the real king. Jesus took all of the anger, all of the accusations and curses that the whole human race has ever heaped upon God, and he accepted him. He agreed to be the solution of our problem, the sins, the mistakes, and the mess of the world. He took it all. We are going to now take a stone and pick it up from the basket, and then when you're ready, you can lay it beneath the robe and the thorns as a symbol to remind us that Jesus took all of our guilt upon himself willingly, that we might take into his death and destroy it. Head to your final station, and as you do, you can take a small cross to symbolize how Jesus carried his cross to his final. You're going to hang the left and then go straight to the front of the church.
Yeah.
There's enough for all.
Thanks.
That. Look at that.
You like cheers and things.
I know, you gotta clean.
Just take a moment and take a glance at the cross. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm reading from Matthew 27. They came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. There they offered Jesus wine to drink mixed with gall. But after tasting it, he refused to drink it. And when they crucified him, they divided up his clothes by casting lots. And sitting down, they kept watch over him there. Above his head, just imagine that, they placed the written charge against him. This is Jesus, King of the Jews. 2 rebels were crucified with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults, shaking their head and saying, "You who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself. Come down from the cross if you're the Son of God." In the same way, the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders mocked him. He said, he saved others, they said, but he can't save himself. He's the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now if he wants him. For he said, "I am the Son of God." In the same way, the 2 rebels who were crucified with him also heaped insults at him. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which means, God, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." And immediately one of them ran and got a sponge and filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. And at that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two, from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who died were raised to life. They came out of their tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified, exclaiming, "Surely he was the Son of God." Many women were there, watching from a distance. They had followed Jesus from Galilee to care for his needs. Now imagine with me how Jesus had staggered with the crossbeam for as far as he was able. He now nailed to the wood and hung up to die. What's going on? This isn't the way heroes conquer enemies. This looks like defeat, not victory. This looks like losing, not winning. Or is it? Only by beating death at its own game could Jesus win. Only by taking all that death could throw at him and not then becoming as bad as death himself could Jesus overcome. Only by absorbing death's poison could he create the antidote to death that he could share with all of us. He did it for us. Would you join me right now? And there's little hearts in there in the basket on which we put our name, and then each can come and tape it to the cross. Because Jesus calls our name. And once you tape it to the cross, just take a moment in your seats before you do this, and then you can head in to the sanctuary.
It's double-sided tape.
Okay.
Stick it in the back. Do you have tape already?
John saw me in the kitchen. He was inside, my husband. And he called me after I left. He's like, okay, I know. He's like, was she reading it to you? And I'm like, she was fucking hearing my husband. What was she doing? He's like, she was really pretty. It was so weird. Good afternoon.
Crowds answered, "This is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth." So, our first question today: the people praised Jesus as they rode into Jerusalem. What is something that praised Jesus?
There's an expectation. I was a small child when I mentioned it.
So I've been that person.
About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately, one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. And at that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of